really interesting when you hear him say this because it makes him a regular guy.
It definitely
Democrat,
does.
it really makes me upset because folks flip it, making, what do you say, lie to yourself. I do that a lot. Other folks, he's just been a regular person going, look, I've made a lot of mistakes. Y'all have all covered me and pulled out everything I've ever done in my life. So maybe I'm not going to have a straight shot all the way to heaven. It makes him really, really like a regular folks. And as a Democrat, it makes me hate it. You've never seen a Democrat speak that freely because our consultants and lawyers would have a field day. They'd be like, it's over. Like, we've got to unbutton the tie a little bit and be really regular and talk to folks like me and my boys were talking to each other this weekend. Democrat, Independent, Republican. That's what people want to hear.
A couple of weeks ago, you were doing an interview and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
It was an entertaining Donald Trump speech to the Knesset.
But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over. Hey, I have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? By the way, that was not in the speeches, you probably know. But I happen to like this gentleman right over here, and it just seems to make so much sense. Whether we like it or not, this has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. This has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. And cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about that? That was very efficient.
Yeah, that was an Arab-Israeli member of the Knesset. Not everyone knows there are Arab-Israeli members of the parliament there too, and calling for Palestinian recognition, believe it or not. Now, let's bring in foreign editor at The Australian, Greg Sheridan. Greg, I genuinely don't know where to start with all of this, so let me just hand over to you. How do you reflect on the last 24 hours?
So look, Kieran, great credit to Trump, of course. We shouldn't be churlish about that. It's wonderful to see the hostages back. Trump oversells everything. That's natural, and you wouldn't expect him not to. I don't want to be the skunk at the party, but I'm very sceptical about everything going forward from here. Israel gave 2,000 Palestinian prisoners back to Hamas, really. And among those were hundreds of murderers. Now that sets up a tremendous incentive for Palestinian terrorists in the future. Israel doesn't have the death penalty, so a future hostage operation can get terrorists released. The Hamas is not yet disarmed, but even if it disarms, the anti-Semitic hatreds in the Gaza Strip for Jews and for Israelis continue on. There is no credible leadership in the Palestinian side and no credible partner for peace. I'd be very sceptical about whether Arab nations will actually put troops in to do anything meaningful. If they're going to enforce security, that means they're going to be willing to shoot Palestinians to stop them from attacking Israel. I don't know any Arab government that's willing to do that. And I think calls for Australia to be involved are wildly premature. However, the region has changed for the better. Iran is disempowered. Hezbollah is disempowered. Assad has fallen in Syria. The Gulf states got a bit scared, so they're crowding back close to Trump and close to Israel. So that's good. Let's push forward and see what can be done. But there is no prospect of two states for many, many years to come. A two-state solution has to be the ultimate outcome. But the way the Albanese government talks about it as if it could happen next week is ridiculous. So it's a good day. You want to celebrate the good days you get in the Middle East, but I've watched a lot of good days come and go in the Middle East. You remember the Oslo Accords, Kieran? Yasser Arafat, Yitzhak Rabin shaking hands on the White House lawn? Well, who thought that would lead to decades of conflict?